Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. And it's coming right up. You're going to hear a roar of the crowd, and believe me, you will never, ever forget it. Are you ready? Count it down. Ready? Okay, here we go now. 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11.
All right, everybody, let's get on it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
My age that remember 1957 that really thought they would never see this. They would never in their lifetime see the Lions be clear Super Bowl contenders, win games they're supposed to win games they're not supposed to win, complete 90% of their passes, creative, grit, incredible coach, incredible offensive coordinator who stayed around. I think the expectations have to be, we used to laugh when it was a Super Bowl. It has to be this year. They have to make it there. They have the top record in the NFC, and they win handily. And I almost felt sorry for the Green Bay fans today.
Shut up. Why?
Because
they're getting poured on.
They're poured on. They suck. 45-mile-an-hour winds. They got no chance. It's over at the half. And they paid big money. They got their ponchos on that are leaking. It's just
they can't feel a snap.
That's right. Dropping touchdown passes.
Oh. Tom Brady blubbering about everything they do.
Oh, well, that if they went to the game, they didn't get to hear Tom Brady. They were saved from that, so maybe you should feel happy for him.
Well, I had to listen to it.
That's right. The only complaint I got from my friend Bill from Ann Arbor texted me about half an hour ago, mid-fourth. I'm sorry, can Brady please shut the hell up? Nonsense talk just to keep talking. Well, what did they expect from Brady, by the way? I mean, okay, they paid him $2 million a game. Did they expect him to be better than anybody that's ever done this?
Yeah.
They expect him to distinguish himself as something as the GOAT of broadcasting? I don't
think
get
they
it.
did. I honestly, you don't pay someone, what was it, $35 million a year?
10 years, $375.
That's insane. People are going to watch the game no matter what.
I know. We did not.
He's in trouble today, too.
He was in trouble before halftime.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he got in trouble for saying spaz last week.
He got in trouble for criticizing the officials on the Banks hit.
No, the branch hit.
Branch hit because he said he thought it was a bad call.
He said, I don't love that call at all. It has to be a serious to warrant an ejection.
I can't believe they're allowing an NFL owner to be in the booth. It's just stupid.
It's ridiculous. And also, I want to say this about that ownership deal. That ownership deal is a really sweet deal. Did you see what?
No.
He paid much less than what he got percentage-wise. I mean, it really seemed like holy crap. They must think he has something incredible to add to their franchise.
He gets overpaid to broadcast, and he gets a piece of the team.
Got $30 million for a roast.
Yeah.
Got 40-some, $50 million from crypto.
He must bring eyeballs. People must do what he says, I guess.
It really doesn't make any sense. In fact, when they paid Aikman and 18 and Romo 18, which was wow, that broke the bank. And then Brady comes along and they double it, and he has no experience. So he's okay, and he's going to get better, but he's just a regular, nothing special color commentator. That's all.
I think I'm finding him kind of annoying. I'm not sure if it's his voice or what it is. Because
everybody does.
I don't generally dislike Tom Brady when I see him. I feel like, he's really a pretty good guy, generally speaking. But I find when he's talking out of my TV speaker, there's something annoying about it.
Is he trying too hard? That's what I said last week when it seems like he's just, had a bunch of Red Bulls and he's just jumping out of his skin.
He does seem too eager to say too much.
Yeah.
I mean, less is more. I know people have said that to me forever, and I've always said, "Fuck you." Do as much as I want.
Why does everybody think I'm high here?
Well, look at you.
I don't get high.
What do
you mean, look at you?
Once a narrative starts, Eli, it's a fact. We can do a Twitter poll and make it an official fact.
That's true. We can.
Oh man, there's so many things to say about this. I mean, Ben Johnson, he stayed. How great was it that he stayed? And on the first series, when they got after Green Bay, the game starts where Green Bay looks like they're going to dominate. They march down the field. Jordan Love, who had a groin injury, looks great. They do stall, but what's his name? Josh Jacobs is running wild. And then when the Lions come back, and they go for it on 4th and 5.
Wow.
4th and 5. And from the was it from the goal? Yeah, 4th and 5.
They got the penalty to make it 2.5.
Goal to go, and then they score on an incredibly creative pass to St. Brown.
And that route that he ran was so beautiful to stop and go, and in a matter of 7 yards, it's so hard to do.
And I wrote on my notes, this is why people love this coach. Mm-hmm. Besides the personality, the grit. Overcoming a 4-19 start. He's just daring. And twice he goes for it on 4th down. In fact, how about the 4th and 1 where Gibbs goes 16 yards up the middle for a touchdown? I mean, on a great call. And that was untouched.
Beautiful play
so
call.
The offensive line is incredible. Yeah. And Ragnow drew the penalty that got him instead of 4th and goal from the 5 was then 2.5. So it was just a brilliantly played game, and when Kirby Joseph picked off that pass, and I was listening. I was driving over here, and Dan Miller's call. I'm thinking that we played when the show. I don't know if everybody heard it before we came out.
YouTube did not hear it, but everybody else.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm thinking if they win the Super Bowl, could he get more excited than this? I'm not so sure. There's
Good for him. I like that.
I asked Brandon how excited I was. I was screaming and yeah, it was great.
There's no greater level that he can take it to than that.
I'm in just a little bit of a malaise right now. It's getting so easy to win. I feel like,
oh, knock it off. I had to say to these two during the game, I go, do you realize we are on the road in Lambeau Field where we never win against a division rival that is 6-2, and we are kicking the shit out of them, and it seems easy.
No, when the game is too easy, I tend to, as a fan, I get a little bored.
Yeah.
I like the adrenaline of a close game.
In fact, I barely paid attention to the second half. Unless they're going to, make it close, there was almost no point in looking. And so early on, what's her name? Erin Andrews talking about how Jared Goff is going to wear 2 gloves. Now they should make him play with like a mitten on. I mean, you got to. It's almost like you got to, kind of handicap it for him.
Yeah. What was he? 18 to 22.
I think 17 to 21.
I mean, they're short yardage,
18 to 20. I think he threw one there at the end. 18 to 22, 145 with a touchdown. 2 of those incompletes, as I told you about 30 times during the game, were just throwaways that he had to do too.
And they got outgained. The
big time. Yeah.
420 to 250.
They've thrown for about 225 yards the last 2 weeks, but they haven't needed to throw any more than that. And they've got 4 touchdown passes, which is pretty good for 225, 230 yards.
And
you know what it is? It sounds so simple. They score touchdowns. They're not kicking field goals, right? They have short fields too.
Yeah,
it's a good special teams.
And in this game,
don't forget Jack Fox he flipped the field possession twice in that game that we knew. Yeah.
And the Packers, with the winds increasing, it's raining all game long. That's what I kind of felt sorry for. It was just such a futile effort, but they tried.
I think my favorite part was when you recognized the cameraman that they showed. You're like, I know him.
I used to work with him.
Was that Eli?
His name's Don Cornelli, and for some reason I've never heard him mention a cameraman before, and they bring up the guy from Detroit.
You knew him.
He worked at Fox too?
I think he was more of an independent. I think I worked with him when I did the locker room at the Palace. I think he was an independent cameraman who got hired.
It must be something else based on how fired up you got. Gee.
Yeah, you were pretty.
Well, I haven't seen him.
I know him.
I know that guy.
I've seen him in 20 years. Anyway, they're 7-1. So tonight the Vikings, although we can't report on that because we're recording Sunday afternoon, could move to 6-2, but the Lions would still have a 1-game lead over them. And now the Packers have dropped to 6-3, so they're in pretty good control. And next week they go to Houston to play against the ex-Buckeye C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
We did mention the Amon-Ra touchdown celebration where he stood on his head and then flopped down, which is kind of an honor to in college this weekend. Incarnate Word, which is a university, the receiver caught a touchdown and did that same thing, stood on his head and then flopped over. And that guy was flagged for that. I can't believe they threw a flag on a celebration like that. But of course, in the NFL, it's totally fine.
Right.
I don't know. I just thought what a fun little celebration that was.
Well, we got a busy chat today. I got to say, Eli's been called high a few times already.
Well, there was a Twitter poll that was put out there. Is Eli high? And right now, 93.3% say yes. So.
Well, maybe it's just the lingering THC that's in my system all the time. It's like I'm soaked inside.
Look at somebody provided a screen grab that proved it.
That's not fair.
I see a lot of people saying that the branch ejection was bullshit.
Oh, total bullshit. And that's where Brady got in trouble, right? It was bullshit.
But I don't know. It was a pretty hard hit.
Yeah, it was.
I know. The problem I have with it is that the call comes from New York. It comes from NFL headquarters. And even when you see Branch bitching about it as it happens, that one official goes, I don't know what you want me to do. It's out of our hands. It wasn't our call. It's New York's. It's a little silly that they just see it on TV and go, yeah, kick him out of there.
But I didn't even know there was an ejection, to tell you the truth. I thought it was always like you had to have 2 of the penalties before they kicked you.
Rarely
It's
is there ejection.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Well, do they have the same targeting rule in the pros as they do in college? Because college they will make you sit out the half. They will eject you from that game, make you sit out half of the next one. I don't think the pros have that.
Can they just make the rules the same? Like, I'm so sick of college guys catching a ball with their knee down and they can't get up and run. Yeah. That's so stupid. Did you want me to go around the league at any point and come up with the league scores? I know.
Well, Dallas is dead. I like that.
The Falcons beat them 27-21.
Yeah.
The Bills beat the Dolphins 30-27. Bengals over the Raiders 41-24. Chargers beat the Browns.
5-3, yes, but Jameis Winston 3 interceptions.
Well, we knew he was going to come back to the mean.
Cleveland's
eventually.
now 2-7.
Titans beat the Patriots 20-17. Commanders beat the Giants 27-22. Panthers by 1 over the Saints, 23-22. Ravens beat the Broncos 41-10.
Ravens are good, man.
Eagles 28, Jaguars 23, and that was an incredible move by, what's his name, the running back. He leaped over somebody. The Eagles, that was the Eagles guy.
Barkley?
Barkley made
Saquon?
incredible highlight clip in that game. They won over the Jaguars. Bears lost to the Cardinals 29-9. Oh, they got to be pissed in Chicago after that last week. And, of course, you had the Jets and Texans.
Oh, the guy. Did you? Yeah, and you guys talked about that lunatic, didn't you? What's his name?
The defensive back who was taunting the fans or whatever?
That was so ridiculous. Awesome. That's one of the lamest things I've ever seen. We complain a lot about guys, sack dances when they're down by 3 touchdowns. But this is one of the look at me, I'm great moments that is just such a turnoff. The one play to go, and he taunts the crowd and then runs over and tips the ball for a touchdown, for a Hail Mary touchdown to lose the game. It's just ridiculous.
The Lions had no sacks today.
Yeah, they really didn't get much pressure on. Once again, this might be a problem going forward.
Well, that's a good point because the trading deadline is Tuesday. There's some talk about some. Well, they call them edge rushers. That we used to call them defensive ends. I don't know why that changed.
When did that officially change?
Belichick, really? I mean,
okay,
it really started with them.
Are they going to make? You think they're going to make a move? I mean,
yes,
I think so.
Really?
I think so. They have until Tuesday night.
When you see Josh Uche get traded for a 6th-round pick, it's like, okay, we can probably pick up somebody.
Why Holmes loves his picks, though.
Why have they been waiting all this time?
They need somebody. Well, they did get one guy from Cincinnati, Isaiah Thomas. I don't know. I mean, that doesn't really.
Not
it just
a
adds
bold
depth.
move.
No, but it adds depth, right?
But you lost a big, very important guy.
That can't be replaced. He's still third in the league in sacks, so you can't replace him. But I just
don't think depth really.
They have to get another lineman. I think they will get another lineman, as they should.
Will they give up a high pick?
No,
but they're all high picks.
I don't think they need.
They're all
to.
high picks because St. Brown was a 4th-round pick. 2nd and 3rd-round picks. They get guys like Laporta and people like that.
Amon-Ra, by the way, the fastest to 4,000 yards in Lions history. And think of some of the receivers we've had. Right.
Well, he's been over 1,000. Well, just every year was his rookie year. That's right.
There's really only 2 with the big numbers, and that would be Herman Moore and, of course, Johnson. In the old days, they just.
Wait, what about the guy in 1966 that caught like 15 touchdown passes? They had a receiver in the mid-60s who used to hold the records. Wait, I'll find it.
Come on.
Well, they're 7-1 for the first
Terry
time.
Barr. Not Terry Barr. He's before that. Gail Cogdill? No.
Oh God, that sounds.
These names all sound old.
Old.
Somebody caught like 15 touchdown passes.
Jebediah Johnson?
No. You talking about in the 60s?
Not a name.
Receiving.
who that would have
Pat
been.
Studstill?
Greg Landry.
Is it,
would
it
have-
might be,
Sonny, those were crazy.
According to Lito on the chat,
no,
Pat
it's not Pat
Studstill?
Studstill. I
No,
don't
they
think
didn't
so.
catch that many.
Hold on. Oh my God, I can't believe I have to look this up. This is pathetic.
Well,
I'm gonna say
meanwhile, a
it's
couple
like
other things.
65 or 64.
Lions are 7-1 for the first time since 1956.
That was a good year.
That's incredible. You guys aren't as amazed
No,
by this
it's
as I am.
crazy. It's hard to even imagine.
No, this
honestly.
has been the best
team-
Lions viewing of my life. This last year, I give it the solid, maybe year and a half of Lions viewing has been excellent.
Cloyce Box. Cloyce Box.
Oh, he goes
Box,
way,
that's
way
right.
back. He goes back to the 50s. That's
Great
not even-
Cloyce Box.
from Bobby Lane.
Which also sounds really old. Place box. That sounds dirty.
He had 15 touchdowns and led the league in
Moist Box.
1952.
Moist,
Way to go, Moist Box.
moist box.
Number 69.
Cloyce Box.
Can we move on to another topic?
Yes.
now? Okay.
He had a 22-yard average on 42 catches in 52. Don't come down on Cloyce Box.
I'm going to go back only to 1979 when I was 29. That was the last time I gambled. And I stopped because I lost my ass. I really didn't enjoy it. And I hadn't placed a sports bet in 45 years till yesterday.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Welcome back.
I'm reading this
Welcome
book,
to the club.
I'm reading this book by Nate Silver called On the Edge, which is fascinating about poker. And I said, I'm going to take a look at that. Now, you have to understand, when I used to, when I gambled back then, obviously there was no gambling sites. It was illegal. It was sinister. You had to know a guy who knew a guy to get a bookie who you'd meet in the parking lot and exchange money. It was kind of like your weed dealer, Oh, that's good. Can you turn me on to your guy? So you finally find a bookie, and now I go on, and not only do I see 15 apps, the first one I see is DraftKings, so I sign up. They're so nice. They're so polite. They send me emails. They
your
say,
money.
welcome, and let us know if you have it.
Why didn't you ask me? You could have gotten some bonuses.
In fact, they said I'm supposed to get $200. So anyway,
I know, but I could have gotten a bonus.
So what I do is the biggest number was $600. So I Venmo'd him $600. I immediately made two of the stupidest bets.
What'd you do?
And lost them both. I took Penn State.
Oh,
Because
what a
I'd seen
mistake
how
that was.
awful Ohio State was the week before. They couldn't run the ball. They barely beat Nebraska, who had lost by 49 points to Indiana the week before.
Penn State can't score in a big game, though.
James
Can't.
Franklin.
He's so bad.
20 to
So
13. 20 to 13. Their first and goal from was the 4 plays. Nothing. I go, I'm dead here on this one. And when he was leaving the field, by the way, did you see that one fan yelled at Franklin, 3 drives inside the 10, we get 3 points.
Yep.
And Franklin kind of taunts him back. He's now so I picked the guy who was 1-12 against top 10 teams. So the other bet I made, which was equally stupid, was I bet Michigan plus 14 and a half.
I did too.
Because Davis Warren had looked a little better the week before.
They're at
Oregon's on
home.
the road. They're at home. They got to fly across the country. I guess we're 2/3 way across the country. And yet, so as they get their asses kicked, I'm thinking, well, they got a Heisman candidate. They got an unlimited NIL budget. And it was 28-10 by the half. But they missed that the referees was looking at their first touchdown, which is that little 2-yard pass, looking at it. There was no distractions, and it turns out that it was dropped. It was dropped.
Yeah, it was dropped. It was clear.
And
Clear as a bell.
And so I quickly look. I know they got to review every play. I look. Of course, they got to review every play. It turns out that the guy in the booth said it's a touchdown. Go ahead. So there was nothing they could do at that point.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So.
Were you pissed when Oregon punched it in at the end to lose your bet on a touchdown
Yeah.
that did not matter?
Well,
They could have
actually-
taken a knee. You would have won.
Actually, the irony was that I had 14.5 points, and I shut it off at the half. They were down 28-10. Oregon 304 yards. I said, enough of this shit. I'm going to lose the bet. They're going to lose the game. Why did I even bet on them?
Nice fan.
Then I turned it on to start the fourth quarter, and they're only losing 31-17. So with my 14.5 points, I'm a winner.
Yeah.
They could just play even the rest of the way, but of course it doesn't.
You know, what's funny about that game is Michigan played pretty good. Their coaching staff was pretty terrible. But you have this realization. I turned to the guy next to me as we're watching the game, and we're like, I think Oregon's really, really good.
Really good.
They are just really fucking good.
And they had an
And
unlimited
they have loaded
NIL
with
budget.
talent,
Right.
and they're well coached.
I tell you what I didn't like when Michigan had 4th and 5 on the Oregon 42 or something, and they punted. And it was a great punt. They got at the 4-yard line.
Yep.
And so I said, oh, maybe I was wrong about that. And then Oregon goes 94 yards. And I just thought, Oregon's just going to score if you give them the ball back.
Yeah, but they came out in the second half and they had a 3-and-out right away. I don't know.
I want to thank the guy that said Pat Studstill, by the way, because I was thinking mid-60s. Pat Studstill caught 67 balls for 1266 in a 14-game schedule.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But he only had 5 touchdowns.
That's back in the days where white guys were wide receivers.
That's right.
Cooper Kupp, Mr.
Yeah.
So in the fourth,
You racist.
in the fourth period of the Michigan game, well, this is back, and there were actually white defensive backs there too.
Cooper DeJean.
Kick returners.
Racist.
Punt
So
returners.
in the fourth quarter, Colston Loveland, the best offensive player in Michigan, makes a great catch, hits the beautiful catch, leaps in the air. When he hits the ground, though, we lose control of the ball. And Gary Danielson, the color commentator, as well as Brad Nessler and Mike Pereira, all agree that it's not a catch because you've got to complete the catch.
And I got to tell you, 90% of that stadium was like, why are we challenging this?
So what happens is
replay.
Sharon Moore challenges it, predictably loses, and then Gary, to his credit, made a very severe accusation about the Michigan coaching staff.
After review, the receiver was going to the ground and did not maintain possession. It is an incomplete pass.
Why are they booing it? They all know.
Because we're at home.
And has lost their challenge for the remainder.
That is just a mistake on the Michigan staff. They do not know the rule, and it cost them a timeout.
I go, Gary, way to go, man. Way to go. Tell it like it is. Don't cover their shit.
When I see a catch or a non-catch, and there's anybody, I'm always like, I have no idea what a catch is anymore. I thought I used to know what a catch was. It was pretty obvious. You caught the ball, and you held it for a second.
Right. Now, I believe
I knew what a catch was. Now I have no idea.
Yeah,
you have to make 2 football moves, whatever that is.
Was that changed with Calvin Johnson when it popped out against the
Chicago, right?
Bears?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that when they clarified the rule that the Michigan coaching staff still doesn't know what it
I got
is?
to tell you, the worst example of them not knowing the rules, Michigan, on Saturday was they stop Oregon. It's 4th and 4, and Oregon has to punt. And they line a guy up over the center.
yeah.
It's like everybody knows you cannot line up a guy over the snapper.
No, so they kept the ball.
Yeah. But that's even worse. That is just the most
really
obvious
dumb.
rule.
How about when Michigan had a chance to get to within 1 touchdown, and I could have won my bet?
No, you would be mad at Oregon. You would have won your bet if he would have taken a knee at the end of the game.
On 4th and 5, they got Orgy in the game, so everybody knows it's a run, except for Dan Lanning, who's very smart, the Oregon coach, and he says it's going to be a trick play, and that end on the right side the Phillies stayed for it, and it didn't work. And I'm going, so that's when I
gotta
shut
tell
it.
you,
So I finally shut it off.
Was that the trick play?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Philly special.
Is
reverse.
the trick play is getting less tricky. Michigan's using them an awful lot, aren't they?
I think the 2 plays before that were even worse. They ran Mullings on 3rd and 7, and then before that they ran Orgy was back in. It's like he had one big run, but nothing else before that.
Well, and Gary also, I agree with him. He said that Warren had earned the right to stay in. And
he played pretty well.
I told you that's what another reason I was encouraged, because he really came alive midway through the Michigan State game. That's when Warren really seemed to suddenly gain the confidence and played well. Another reason I thought they might handle Oregon, but no, to answer the caller, I know I was not high at the time. I should have been. I wouldn't have made the bet.
Well, did you bet Indiana, Michigan State?
No, I didn't know. I'm down. I'd like it. I'm going to make 2. I'm going to make 2 bets a week. I'm going to try and make it last.
We were. I saw that State went up 3-0. I'm like, God, I wonder what that did to the line.
It was 10-0.
It was 10.
No, I know. But when it was 3-0, I'm like, I looked at the line. It was Indiana minus a point. I'm like, I kind of like that. So. Never would have thought. Well, then when they were down 10, I'm like, I don't really like that point anymore.
I tell you, I was
47 unanswered. Jesus Christ.
I don't really get upset at sporting events much watching TV. I don't yell at the TV very often. But I was watching Virginia Tech Syracuse on the CW.
Yeah, I saw that.
My team is on the CW.
It's fun.
I wouldn't have known it, but it's one click away from Fox, so I just happened to flip to it.
So I'm watching this game. They're up 21-3. And then, of course, Syracuse comes back behind McCord, the Ohio State quarterback, who's now at Syracuse. And I've spent half the game going, who is this guy? I know this guy. And finally, I looked it up. I'm like, oh, it's the fucking Ohio State guy. So he's leading this comeback. And then we fumble. fumble ahead 21-17 after 2 scores, and they score right away in probably 5 plays. It's 24-21. Hokies come back. They have their backup quarterback and their backup running back in. And the backup quarterback was playing great. His name is Schlee. They roared right down the field. 28-24. They get the ball back. They go down and they fuck around and don't score. They kick a field goal, so they're up 7. So Syracuse gets the ball with 5:16 left. I'm like, okay, if they score, you're gonna have enough time to go down and have a shot at it, or they hold it, or they go for 2 or whatever. But I thought at least we're gonna get the ball back. So everybody on my text stream, like 10 Virginia Tech guys, are like, this guy. Pry, the head coach, he doesn't know how to manage the clock. He won't call timeouts. You watch. They get down, there's like 2 minutes left. They're on the 13-yard line or something. He's not calling timeout. The clock's just running down. What are you doing? Why are you not calling timeout?
How many did he have left?
He never used them. They scored with 30 seconds. They get the extra point. It's tied. So they have 30 seconds and 3 timeouts, which is so dumb. They should have had a minute and a half and maybe 1 timeout. And they run the ball up the middle for a yard, and then they just go, overtime. It's like, why did you even hand the ball off? What was the point of that? Why wouldn't you have a great kicker? They have a really good kicker. And what are you doing? Everyone, the announcers are going, I don't really think about using these timeouts. What's going on? Everybody in our text stream is going, call timeout! The one guy that doesn't know how to do it is the coach. Before the half, they had the ball with 1:03 and 3 timeouts. Timeout! They run the ball up the middle for 11 yards to like the 35, their own 35. But it's like, hey, they got a drive going. They're up 14-3. Why not? They take their time and they're just fucking around. They get another run for like 20 yards, and there's only 18 seconds left. Like, what are you doing? Why are you running? Why don't you take a knee if you're not serious? So then the quarterback scrambles for 18 down to the 30. And they say, oh, no, his knee was down when he took the snap. So it's back to the 47 or something. And I'm thinking, okay, so there's got to be 16 seconds, right? Because he didn't run for 6 seconds. He only took the snap and had his knee down. They end up saying there's only 7 seconds left after the replay, after the review. I'm like, whoa, how can it go to 18-7? He didn't run anywhere. And they said, well, because the Virginia Tech coach didn't call timeout. So now he's back there ready to snap the ball. The clock is running down from 7. I'm like, why wouldn't they call timeout? What the hell? They run the play to the 5-yard line. End of the half.
Oh, the frustration of being an alum, watching your alma mater.
No,
and suffering 2,000 miles away.
It's the frustration of stupidity. I mean, that is just so dumb. It's like, why would you even be running the ball or like half-ass trying to score if you're not going to use your timeouts anyway? So they got all these timeouts. I guess can you trade them in for money? 5 timeouts. They lost in overtime.
Frustration. Yes, I know.
Sorry for your loss.
But my whole stream is like 9 different people going, call timeout! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Every guy on the stream.
Well,
but no.
I don't know who they're
to be.
I don't know who Virginia Tech is playing next week, but I'm sure you'll be watching. Oh boy!
Oh really? Well, they lost.
I may not be watching it. They lost. They lose.
They lost to Louisville. Louisville kicked the shit out of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Michigan plays
Clemson.
Michigan plays Indiana now.
See the line?
Week. What?
14 points. 14 points.
Indiana's favored by 14.
Oh yeah.
Wow. They're home. They're home.
I
to
think
Michigan.
they might just carve them up.
Let me ask you guys something. I think I saw South Carolina. I just flipped by it. They beat Texas A&M.
Yep.
Yes.
And then they poured on the field like they won the Super Bowl.
A buddy of mine called me. He said, storming the field used to be only on big occasions. Now he was very upset that there's an overstorming of the field.
Oh, come on.
They're storming the field for like nothing, like winning a regular season game.
Here's the most ridiculous thing. 2 teams have stormed the field when they beat Michigan this year. A very bad Michigan team. Illinois and Washington both stormed the field.
That's what he was upset when Illinois stormed. Come on, it's a Big Ten matchup between 2 teams going nowhere.
Oh, it's a big win for Illinois, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what it was.
Every loss Alabama's had on the road going back to like 2008, the other team has stormed the field because they've been that good.
Isn't South Carolina? Aren't they like 4-4 though? I mean, they're not good.
But they beat A&M. That was the point.
They were 4-4. Now they're 5-5.
What is A&M? Were they 7-1?
They were 7-1. Now
they were on top of the ACC.
That is not stormable.
Oh, every game like that is stormable.
No, not stormable.
You don't like that? That's fun.
It's stupid.
And now they have to pay. Don't they have to pay A&M because isn't that the SEC rule? I mean,
fine.
Yeah, so they owe A&M $100,000, which is just nothing. Just change.
Don't play games with it.
Indiana's not been to the Rose Bowl since 1967. Mm-hmm. This would be, and back then, when they finally made it to the Rose Bowl.
That's 5 years before Lee Corso.
I mean, they were just Michigan used to beat them by 7-8 touchdowns every year.
Were they not coached by John Pont back then?
Johnny Pont, yes. I remember the quarterback, John Eisenbarger. They go out to play.
What are these
They go out to
people?
play USC, and a guy named O.J. Simpson is the player of the game. He should have won the Heisman Trophy that year, but it went to Gary Beban, quarterback for UCLA. But O.J. won it the next year in '68 when they beat Ohio State, thankfully. And
Whatever happened to that Heisman?
what happened to that?
Gary Beban? I don't.
No, OJ's.
Oh, it got melted down by the Goldmans.
That's crazy.
Was 68, was that, did they beat Rex Kern's Ohio State team?
Well, that's
Great perm, Rex Kern.
in '69 when Bo's first year. Yes, they beat Rex Kern's team, where they were saying who some of the quote unquote experts or media said could have played in the NFL, could have beaten the Cowboys, which was nonsense.
Oh, come
and,
on.
of course, ridiculous. But Michigan beat them 24-12. And back then, as a sophomore, we stormed the field.
Yeah, because it's
Deservedly
fun.
stormed the field.
It's fun. Everybody likes storming a field, except for Drew.
Well, now when you're 4-4.
Buzzkill. Yeah, but you beat a 7-1 number 10 team in the nation.
I guess
I don't think you've earned the right to storm the field when you've lost 4
All right,
games.
well, we'll have them call you. See
Think of-
when you're allowed to storm the field.
think of Michigan State. They gave up 47 straight points to lose 47-10. My God. Interesting here. By the way, Michigan, has apparently upped the ante. On 3 reports that Michigan has offered Bryce Underwood an NIL package north of $5 million for 3 or 4 years. Which is
For
on
3 or 4 years, you can't do that,
Yeah,
can
no,
you?
Well, yes,
You can leave after 1.
They can't.
Well, yeah, and if he leaves, then he they
if he leaves the
they don't owe him
school,
any more
yeah.
money.
Yeah.
So they pay him on a 1 year at a time?
Aiden Childs has got a 3-year contract with Michigan State for $1.5 million, but if he decides to leave,
He can leave, yeah.
then he's got to get the money from somebody
Well, he'll
else.
leave if he gets offered more money.
Never believe those numbers, by the way. They're a little inflated.
No, I think they're underinflated.
no,
they're not going to get him for 1.7. Check this out: Shedeur Sanders, who's a Heisman Trophy candidate, Colorado's quarterback, obviously son of Deion Sanders, joked on a podcast with a friend that he would come back for a 5th year for $10 million. Ha ha ha! Well, guess what? When Caleb Williams was the first pick in the draft last year, he gets $10 million a year to play for the Bears. So $10 million a year is not crazy. I would imagine his NIL value is the highest in sports at $6.3 million. In fact, I think he's ahead of the great Livy Dunn even in terms of NIL.
Bronny made $9 million last year. Bronny.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow.
So had a great year with the Lakers. He's actually scored 2 points.
Oh, God. Jeez.
Was that the most overblown bullshit you've ever seen? This, oh my God, we've got the Griffies here as LeBron James and his son Bronny will play together for the first father and son in NBA history.
But that was the first game. The next 3 games he sat on the bench, didn't get in, and then in Cleveland, I think it was Thursday, the Lakers are down 23 points. The crowd starts to chant for Bronny. J.J. Redick says, well, I better put him in. He puts him in the game, and then Bronny hit his first basket, a 14-foot jumper, and the crowd erupted. And, because everybody wants to be a part of quote-unquote history.
This is like the Virginia Tech crowd chanting for Charlie Moyer's son, Paige, to play when he was the 12th man who never played. He was like 5'6".
This is a contrived indulgence for LeBron. Everybody knows what it is. Nepotism, egotism, whatever you want to call it. Crafting the system for your personal benefit.
Then why won't all these announcers call it like it is? Why do they all say, Bronny's game is better suited to the pros?
He just seems like a good kid. He didn't ask for this. He's just being a loyal son. He comes from a good family. Just because he was born on third base, it doesn't mean that
I don't know why his dad is making him do this if he
that's
doesn't
the
want
thing.
to do
He
it.
could just say, Dad, I want another year in college.
He should have played another year in college.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been much?
I also just had a heart attack, Dad. Can I stay in college for another year?
I think if your father is LeBron, you really don't have a choice. You're going to do what Dad wants. So he's just
I think that's bullshit.
He's a kid doing what his dad wants, and everybody else, to your point, plays along for some unexplainable reason.
But I feel like he's being mocked, and he should be mocked because it's a joke. It's not a real record.
But it's not his fault.
Yeah, but
He's a nepo NBA player.
But he's a good kid, and he's just.
I'm a good kid. I was a good kid. Why wasn't I in the NBA?
Because your dad wasn't the best NBA player ever. Yeah.
Anyway, so as I'm watching the Michigan game in the third or fourth quarter, I'm seeing the first spot that I've seen for the Tyson Jake Paul bout on the 15th, and I'm going, holy shit, is it this close? But pretty good spot. Play it, Brandon, if you would.
It is in the jungle.
This is the best quality I can get, by the way.
This is Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
Wait, but Mike Tyson's like 20 there.
That was 38 years ago.
Paul versus Tyson, live on Netflix.
I'll tell you what's interesting, though.
Cool.
There's no comparison to make a judgment on this fight. Paul has never fought a real boxer. Tyson hasn't fought professionally since 2006, and he was awful at the end. And Paul is a heavy favorite, and I think that makes sense. I don't know whether they're just trying to get money to come in on Tyson, but Paul is a minus 330 to win.
They're just trying to make money.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to get money.
Is Hawk 2 a ring girl? She's in the Paul network.
That'd be smart, but they're going to get such high ratings for this fight. I'm watching. Eli, you're watching.
Oh, yeah.
Drew, you're probably right. She probably will be there in some shape or fashion.
Yeah.
You know, Brandon, I'm either going to watch on Netflix for free, or I'm contemplating the MVP Owner's Experience.
Really?
It was revealed on Friday. It's a $2 million hospitality package. You get 10 tickets, 4 in the first 2 rows.
How much is it?
$2 million. Oh, but wait a second. I've got to tell you the stuff you get with it, though. And 2 people in a private suite less than 6 feet from the action with premium leather seats in your own little world right there under the ring. You get all 10 get pre-fight locker room visit for you. Can you imagine wanting to go in the locker room before a fight?
No.
Is Mike going to just say, hey, great to see you? Can I sign something? No, it's ridiculous.
No, they don't want to see you.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, you couldn't. It's in Jerry World. Is that 90,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it can be
What
more.
else do you get besides 20 seats?
You get to be on stage during the weigh-in.
Ooh.
Autograph gloves from both boxers,
Okay.
and a personal concierge and security detail during the week.
Oh, the whole week?
Yeah.
What a stupid present.
Oh, I guess they could buy you a hotel room for the whole week, a suite, for $2 million.
So instead of regular gloves, which are 10 ounces, they're going to be 14. Instead of 3-minute rounds for men, they're going to be 2.
What?
So if this fight goes off and it's a bad, I mean, we already know it's so silly with all those rules there.
Yeah,
so if it goes off and it's bad boxing, is anybody going to care? Or there's just because it's an event, it's going to be an event?
No, it'll just hurt the next Jake Paul money grab.
But okay,
haven't they all?
There's 80 million.
He's fought some good fights. I mean, when he beat the NBA guy, Nate
Roberts,
beat the shit out of him. Nobody thought he was going to win that fight.
Shit.
A guy that's
Who thought Jake
5'4"?
Paul?
All he's fought is former bare knuckle guys and former MMA guys that
But
are
he's
over
an
the hill.
athlete. Jake Paul was a nobody.
I want him to fight an actual bear like they do in Russia, right? Or a kangaroo.
I think though that Tyson at 50. I mean, when you look at him, even in the promo there, he's 58 years old. He's in against a 27-year-old who's strong and in shape. Even if Paul couldn't box at all, you'd have to favor him. If he can just avoid Tyson for a while.
That dude's dying ASAP.
The over-under is 5.5 rounds. And Paul's. But so anyway, there's no way to judge. How are you going to judge against a guy who's never really boxed before the last couple of years, and Jake Paul never fought a real contender? You got Tyson who's 31 years older, so it's a ridiculous thing that nobody can judge. Anyway, $80 million, 40 for Paul, 20 for Tyson, and 20 more million for the undercard, including 2 women, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano.
Cool.
I think it's like voyeurism watching 2 women fight.
What podcast do they do?
I don't know.
Richard says that I think I'm hot because of my shirt. I admit I do like this shirt, but I do not think I'm hot. I want to make that clear.
And since
By the way, while all the Jake Paul stuff was going on, because the chat was pointing out too, we got it up on the TV, the Rams, Matthew Stafford come back in overtime, threw a 39-yard bomb to DeMarcus Robinson for a touchdown to win. After they pretty much blew the, I don't know if you saw the end of the fourth quarter there. because the Seahawks got the ball back under 2 minutes with they had to go pretty much the whole length of the field, and they did to tie the game and send it into overtime. So, yeah, great game for the Rams. Yeah.
For Matthew.
Well,
yeah, I mean, we like Stafford, right? Don't we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
You want some other Lions info?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's see. They've won 3 straight road games at Green Bay for the first time since.
91.
Older? Anyone? No?
I think this
I give up 60s.
86 to 88. Jahmyr Gibbs set a record, by the way.
What?
He's averaged over 5 yards a carry in 7 straight games with at least 10 attempts. That's an NFL record.
Yeah.
No one's been that
Really? Really?
that long. Yeah.
Wait, 5 yards a game?
Over 5 yards per carry for 7 straight games with a minimum.
That's a lot of
With a
games.
minimum of 10 attempts.
Surprised.
I use many stats.
Well, that's a pretty big record. The first guy in the NFL to do that, and a 6-game winning streak since. Anyone?
For 6-game winning streak since whoa, the Wayne Fonz's team that was 3-5 and finished 10 and
1995
6 or 3-6 and finished 10 and 6. Thank you.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
That's a record that can never be broken.
That's great, man.
Well,
I love it. I can't get enough of this Lions team right now.
They're so fun.
there is.
Oh, they're great. They're really good.
And they're full of grit.
Not only do they win, but they win in really interesting ways and exciting ways, and they try shit that they didn't ever try in the past. It's very exciting. Anyway, since people think I'm high here, I do have a final story involving marijuana. I don't know if you heard of this, and it was hot off the press. It's pizza news. Did you hear about the 5 customers?
Wisconsin?
Yes. Did you do that?
No, we haven't talked about it, but yeah.
Five customers sought medical attention after eating pizza from famous Yeti's Pizza in Staunton, Wisconsin, 20 miles southeast of Madison. Seems that last week the chef ran out of oil while making pizzas. He ran to an industrial kitchen nearby shared by multiple businesses and took oil that belonged to a different business. There was a label on the cap that he didn't see that noted it contained Delta-9 cannabis, a scientific term used to describe THC. Now, famous Yeti's owners say they began investigating, and one of their owners started experiencing unexpected physical symptoms after eating the pizza. So here, now marijuana is not legal in Wisconsin, but the oil doesn't face the same laws and regulations of marijuana because it comes from the hemp plant, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they served 60 contaminated pizzas. Health department received dozens of reports, and it turns out that the people on social media were actually very positive regarding the pizza parlor because they admitted their mistake and they apologized for it. And so the reviews were positive. And one came that said, one customer wrote, "When I come in and wink twice, it means I want that pizza." Okay? LOL.
So high.
There was a pizza parlor, I think, in Europe, and they had a really gross pizza on their menu. It was the number 40, and if you ordered it, what you really got was cocaine delivered to you. So it's just they made a gross, disgusting pizza on their menu, knowing that, hey, this is how we're really going to sell cocaine and traffic cocaine, because they knew nobody would actually buy that pizza, which is pretty smart.
A friend of mine
creative.
And a few of us made some pot brownies in high school when we were juniors or seniors, and I think he left them in the refrigerator, and his mom pigged out on them. And she called an ambulance and went to the hospital.
Yeah.
She thought she was having a stroke.
You can get overwhelmed if it's when you
Overwhelmed.
get that.
She went to the hospital for being overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I think there was no admission of that for a while. It was a mystery, like, what happened? And eventually it spilled out.
All right, well, let me end by saying a human lens, like we all have in our eyes, is only 2/5 of an inch wide and only 1/5 of an inch thick. Very tiny. Yet without good functioning lenses, our eyesight becomes a daily, vexing problem that won't go away. That's why millions of Americans replace their lenses every year, either for cataracts as part of the natural aging process, and for those younger and pre-cataract to get bifocal lens implants. Then they see the small stuff clearly, along with everything else in stunning HD. No bifocal glasses, no contacts, nothing but your eyeballs and the outside world bright and clear for life. If you've had it with reading glasses, trying to see the small print, let Dr. Yaldo bring things into clear view for you with, yes, the Clearview bifocal lens implant. Get a free evaluation from Michigan's most experienced eye surgeon at YaldoEyeCenter.com.
Time for Tubby Bye-Bye.
Time for Tubby Bye-Bye. Time for Tubby Bye-Bye. Time for Tubby